So it's the end of 2023, it's exactly 1 week before Christmas, and I'm finding myself looking back over the year and wondering what the hell happened. It's been such a difficult year. It's not been one of the worst years I've ever had, but it has been an extremely difficult, very challenging year that's made me rethink a lot of things in my life. It's made me reconsider a lot of things in my life. A lot of dreams got broken this year, and some new dreams were made, and it's just been hard this year. This year's been a challenge. After last year, after 2022 went so well and so amazingly good, it was hard to consider that this year was going to be harder. I didn't even consider this year was going to be harder. This year was meant to be amazing, and it's not been amazing. This literally just been problem after problem after problem. So with last year, I started my own business, and the business went really, really well. I ended up overworking myself to hell, and I stopped pole dancing. I started my I stopped pole dancing and aerial arts. I started freediving. I started doing my training towards my mermaiding. And this year was meant to be the year that I started performing as a mermaid. It was meant to be the year I went for my AIDA 3 freediving qualification. It was the year I was going to start competing in freediving, and so many other things. And that was just like the tip of the iceberg of the things that I wanted to do this year. Here he is. Please, can you put that on pause while I'm recording? Thank you. I'm recording a video. That's why I'm saying, please, could you put it on pause?
So, do you mean if I start singing, it's not a good idea?
No.
I heard if I start belly aching.
Even worse. But that was just the tip of the iceberg on things that I was hoping to do this year and didn't end up happening. In fact, let's go over my goals for 2023. I've actually just noted them all down on this little pad because I'm on my phone and I'm currently using my phone for lighting. Goal number 1 was maintain my business. That was a goal I actually hit this year because I still have my dog walking business. It's still going very, very well, and it's still very successful. I'm still earning a good income that allows me to pay for my bills and have a bit extra every month. Goal number 1 I hit. Goal number 2 was to have one of my 2 YouTube channels monetized. My Parrots YouTube channel is so close to monetization, but it's not quite there. It still needs 4,000 watch hours, and currently it's got about 1,500, so it's still got a long way to go. This YouTube channel I've completely neglected for reasons I'm going to go into shortly, but unfortunately I didn't get that goal, so that's going to be one of my goals for next year. My 3rd goal was to take the Japanese N4 test, which I was hoping to take in December, but unfortunately I've not been able to maintain my Japanese lessons due to lack of time and financial difficulties, so I've not been able to get ready for the M4 test, so I'm hoping to take it next year, but there's still going to be a very low likelihood unless I can get back into the habit of practicing Japanese. My 5th New Year's resolution for 2023 was to get 2k in savings, and I nearly did that one. I got to 1,500k in my savings, and then Christmas wiped me out. Christmas has took away all my savings. It's been such an expensive year, and not just Christmas, but yeah, I've had to get a new car, I've had to get other new bits and bobs, which has unfortunately wiped my savings out clean. Goal number 6 was to enter or be a competition buddy in a freediving comp, and that I actually did. I was a buddy for my friend who won gold in pretty much all the female categories. She wiped the floor and came away with about 7 medals, I think. 5, 6, 7 medals, something like that. Mostly gold, a couple of silver. That was another goal I actually have achieved, or one New Year's resolution I did actually achieve this year. And New Year's resolution number 7 was to spend more time with Jason, my friends and family, and that is actually another goal that I have achieved. Even though I've not spent as much time as I would like with my friends and family and Jason changed jobs. That job gave him more time off, which allowed us to spend more time together. And with my family and friends, I have been able to see them more this year than I have in the last 4 years. So I class that as a win. I class that as an achievement for reaching those particular goals. Or going back to the New Year's resolution to perform with my mermaid friends. That New Year's resolution was very much a dream, and it's a dream that has been very much destroyed this year, and unfortunately I don't know when I'll be able to actually chase it again. And this is one of the reasons that my year has actually been so difficult this year. Starting in February, I started noticing I was getting ill quite a lot. I was getting quite a lot of stomach bugs, I was coming down with colds quite a lot. I didn't really think about it at the time because it's normal for people to come down with colds and illnesses around about February. Then in March I had another bit of a stomach bug, but I was still able to make a lot of my training and I still was able to make a lot of performances. By the end of March, I actually passed my mermaid training or completed my mermaid training, and I had my first official performance up and ready to go for the end of April. And literally 3 days before I was due to perform, I don't know what the hell happened to me, but I got really sick. I was urinating blood, I had fever, I had cold sweats, hot sweats, I was vomiting, I was really ill. All my symptoms pinpointed to a urinary tract infection, but then when I got tested, I didn't have a urinary tract infection. I got put on antibiotics, which seemed to clear the worst of the symptoms, but then the doctor was concerned because the blood in my urine continued. So he was a bit worried that something was wrong with my kidneys, so he sent me for further tests. And the problem is, I had basic tests, and those tests confirmed that whatever it is that was causing the blood in my urine wasn't life-threatening and it wasn't cancerous. However, because I had blood in my urine and they didn't know what was causing it, I was banned from exercise completely for 4 months. But the only exercise I could do was walking and cycling, like basic exercise for general day-to-day stuff. And that really annoyed me because it meant I couldn't do my freediving. I was potentially at risk of blacking out. So I couldn't physically go to training. Because I couldn't go to training, I couldn't do my mermaid training. I couldn't do any of the performances that they had lined up for me. I was heartbroken. I was literally heartbroken because for the last year, over a year, I had been training my heart out to achieve this one goal, and in the blink of an eye it got swept from underneath my feet because of a medical condition. After I went through a load of tests and couldn't train for 4 months, I then got a phone call from the urologist just to say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. I went for a urine test checkup just the other day and it said I still have traces of blood in my urine. So what's causing it if there's nothing wrong with me? And this put the urologist in a bit of a panic because he was like, if there's nothing wrong with you, you shouldn't have blood in your urine. Like, well, duh. But by this point, my doctor had said that it's been 4 months, whatever it was, I should have recovered from by now. So I was okay to go back to training. So I did start going back to training, and then the urologist put me in for a emergency CT scan, which I had 2 weeks later. And at that point I was having a bit of financial difficulty because summer is always really a quiet month for me, so I didn't have as much money saved up as what I usually do, so I couldn't afford to get to freediving training regularly. I was still going as much as I could, but I physically couldn't go more than once or twice a week, and that was having a negative effect on my overall training. Then as the month went on, I got busier and busier with work to the point where I was exhausted, I was knackered. I did something that I didn't think I was going to do this year, but I'm excited that I did do, which then took up more of my time, which meant I had even less time for training. Even during this 4-month period where I wasn't allowed to exercise, I wasn't allowed to train, I ended up suffering from vertigo, like really bad head spinning, to the point where I was physically vomiting. It was that bad. That took a couple of days to get over. That took nearly a week to get over, actually. Not long after I could go back to training, I burst my eardrum. Not at training, I burst my eardrum at work. I'm not too sure how I did it. And unfortunately that burst eardrum meant another bout of dizziness and bad balance while that healed. So I couldn't go to training for that. And then after that, Christmas came around the corner. And that doesn't seem like much, but those were like the main things that happened that I can remember. In between those, I was constantly coming down with stomach bugs. I was constantly coming down with colds. I had COVID at one point. That knocked me out for a week. When I actually look back at this year, it's just been a year of illness. Back to back illness. Where I've only actually been okay for about a week at a time, until this last month when I've started looking after myself a bit better and actually thinking about my health a bit more. And it breaks my heart because I realised in this last month that one of the reasons I've been so ill is because I'm overworking myself, because I'm doing too much, because I can't stop saying yes to things. It's because I'm leaving myself very thin. I'm not giving myself any time to rest and recover from social stress and work stress and physical stress, and as a result it's been causing me stress. And after looking back, I realised that I don't physically have the time or the money to go freediving training twice a week in order to maintain my skills. And it's got to the point where I've not been freediving training now for probably about 2 months, purely because I can't afford it. I don't have any spare money right now. Last month I had a really big think about it, and part of the thing about me getting ill constantly this year and me realising that I was neglecting myself and putting my own health at risk and putting my own livelihood at risk and making myself ill because I wasn't eating properly, because I wasn't sleeping properly, because I wasn't drinking enough water. I was making myself ill through personal neglect because I was so busy trying to please everyone else and so busy trying to do so many things that I was burning myself out every month without fail. I had to sit back and think, right, what do I need to do right now? What do I want to do right now? What can I do? I'm saying this the wrong way. Long story short, I currently work a very physically active job. Not extremely physically active, but it's a physical job. And with the mermaiding, it's a physical job. And because of the way that I've been ill, back to back to back to back to back, it made me wonder, there's a plane going past. It made me wonder, what am I ever gonna do if I break a leg, or if I don't know, break an arm? I won't be able to perform as a mermaid, and I certainly won't be able to walk the dogs because I'd be at too high risk, especially if I do something to my leg. One of my friends who is a dog walker in a different part of the country, she actually dislocated her knee very recently. And upon dislocating her knee, she had a year wait until she could have the surgery in order to fix the dislocation, because there was a bit of a complication with the dislocation and something to do with bone growth, and she had to have surgery. She had to wait a year for that surgery. She was out of work for a year because she couldn't physically do her job because of the damage on her knee. She couldn't walk. Then she finally got her knee surgery, and then she's in a 6-month recovery scheme, a 6-month rehabilitation schedule. So she's gone a year and a half without income, without work, because she can't physically do her job. And I was thinking to myself, what do I ever do if that happens to me? What if I get into a situation where I can't physically perform as a mermaid? What if I get into, it has been that situation all year. What if I ever get in a situation where I can't physically do my business, where if I can't physically walk? I need a secondary source of income, or I need a source of income where I can work from home. When I actually considered that, and when I looked into it further, I realised I need to start looking for work from home. I love my languages, and I would love to be a language interpreter translator. So initially I started learning BSL, and I'm still doing a BSL level 1 course, and I am loving it. It is so much fun to learn. And very easy to learn, surprisingly. Like, bits of it are difficult, but it's actually quite easy to learn compared to other languages. And then obviously my Japanese, but it's going to take me a couple of years in order to get up to Japanese. And then I finally made the decision that I was going to try and start a second business. It had to be a business where I could work from home. It had to be a business where I could do it in my spare time around my current business, if possible. So I decided to get into voice acting, and I am currently in the process of trying to set up my own voice acting business, or a business where I offer voice acting services. Now, the problem with this is it leaves me with even less time available for my life. So in order to fit in the BSL languages, or the BSL lessons, in order to afford the voice acting, not so much to afford the voice acting, but in order to have time to make myself available to do voice acting, I'm going to have considerably more time at home and considerably less time away from home. In order to fit in the voice acting, something else was going to have to go. And I've had to make the really, really hard decision to temporarily put a pause on my freediving and mermaiding. This is not something I wanted to do. It was not something I intended to do. But the reality is I need to put my health physically and mentally and stop myself from burning out first. And I need to find a secondary source of income faster and more reliable upon the event that I may get injured while out at work, or I may have an injury that affects my business. The only way to do that is to give up one thing to fit in time for another. So in order to fit in my BSL, with the hope of becoming interpreter translator, I've had to temporarily give up my Japanese lessons, which is why I said it's going to be very difficult for me to hit the M4 next year. And in order to try and push forward with this voice acting, I've had to temporarily stop my freediving. And that really does hurt because I love being under the water, I love swimming, I love the training. But one thing I am trying to do to compensate for it is go open water swimming a bit more and turn that into a side hobby to at least keep me used to the cold water if nothing else. And it's heartbreaking. I don't want to give up freediving. I don't even want to put it on pause, but I have to. I've literally not got a choice at this point. But voice acting has always intrigued me, so hopefully something good will come of that. But then that also creates the thing of what are my New Year's resolutions going to be for next year. Let's make them up now. So New Year's resolution number 1 is going to be one of my New Year's resolutions for last year, is going to still be get one of my YouTube channels monetized by the end of the year. I would like it to be sooner, but there's no guarantee of that. Whether or not it's my parrot channel or whether or not it's this channel, I do want to try and get at least one of my channels monetized by the end of this year. New Year's resolution number 2 is also going to be one from last year, is going to try and take my Japanese N4 test. Will that happen? I hope so, but we'll see. New Year's resolution number 3 will be to pass BSL level 1 and start BSL level 2. Number 4 will be to earn at least £1,000 from voice acting or voiceover work. Number 5 will be spending more time with my friends and family, even more than what I have done this year. And then New Year's resolution number 6, and this is probably the most important one and probably should be number 1, look after my physical and mental health. Put myself first, stop burning myself out, and stop trying to please others so much. Use my YouTube channel as a go-to, use my YouTube channel as a way to keep myself on course, on top of things. I still have a few YouTube videos from last year that I still want to finish and get out. I am hoping to use this YouTube channel as a way to keep myself, what's the word? Accountable for looking after my mental and physical health. One of those being trying to get back into calisthenics and mobility training. So there we go. That's my New Year's resolutions for 2024. If you would like to see how I get on with these New Year resolutions, please possibly think about giving them a subscribe and a follow. And I will see you in 2024. If I don't see you before, I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas and a very happy New Year. I am going to be spending the next week burning myself out a little bit more, and then I'm going to be spending the week of Christmas taking some time to myself, getting myself back on track to where I need to be. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all the best for 2024. Bye-bye.